Good evening and welcome to the Greenfield Public Schools School Committee meeting. It's Wednesday, September 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the John Zahn Community Center. The secretary is not here, so I'll take the liberty of calling the roll. Member Goodwin?
Here.
Member Childs?
Here.
Member Sexton?
Here.
And I, Glenn Johnson-Musad, am here. So we have a quorum, just barely. Jenny is, the mayor's on her way in. We needed to schedule an executive session at this time, so we will be returning, obviously, and then doing public comment. We don't think our conversation will take too long, but we don't know exactly how long it will take. So I'd like to hear a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to, I should say first, this meeting is being recorded by GCTV. If any other persons present are also recording, you must notify the chairperson at this time. I'm not seeing any. I'd like to hear a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Also, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A4, to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion from Member Sexton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Member Goodwin. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we have an aye for the mayor too. The mayor arrived and 6:02. Welcome. So we will now adjourn into executive session, and we'll be returning hopefully not too long from now. manager has joined as well. So I guess, let's see. Mayor, do we need to vote to come back to the meeting? Okay. Okay. Sydney, are you ready? Okay. We're reconvening. It's 6:42 p.m. Member Martini has joined while we were in executive session, and our business manager, Andy Paquette, has joined as well. Our next item is public comment.
Good evening. So I have Doug Selwyn, Greenfield. 3 quick points, I hope. The first, I had a question about the budgeting process, the district budgeting process. I've asked a couple of different members of the school committee about, what's happening with the budget and where are things at. And I got a universal, we don't know, which was troubling to me. It seems to me that the school committee should somewhere be involved in the process. And I remember from years ago that by the time the school committee members at the budget committee, we sat in on a couple of meetings, by the time they got budget numbers, basically all the decisions had been made. And so it was sort of a rubber stamp kind of thing. So that puzzled me a little, and I just wanted to express my hope that there's more communication along the way than what is visible to me. And I don't know, and given that this is not a dialogue, it's just me saying things to you, I'll leave it at that. But that was one comment I had, is that I hope that's happening. My second category is I have a question about the 3 kindergarten classes that have been raised and what the impact that has on the redistricting that's going to happen. If there are 3 additional classrooms, are there space allotted for those 3 classrooms? My assumption is there aren't more kids suddenly, but that the kids are divided up differently. But I don't know that. I'm working in ignorance here. So, but I just wondered how that was going to work and whether there was going to be conversation about how that all was going to happen. And then my third point has to do with ballot question 2, and I just wanted to say briefly that there has been misinformation about it that has come. The Boston Globe really is opposed to ballot question 2, and they've been putting out misinformation, as have local TV. And so I wanted to just correct a couple of things. Ballot question 2, the only thing that it does is it says that the MCAS is not a graduation requirement. The state standards are still in place. That hasn't changed. The children, the kids, the high school students still take the MCAS. That hasn't changed. It's just not a barrier to them graduating. They don't have to pass it to graduate as long as they have passed all of their classes, which are aligned with the state standards. And the spreading of misinformation, I think, is unfortunate. It's the times we live in, perhaps, but I think all part of our responsibility is to call it out when it's happening. So that's what I wanted to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Yeah, got it. Todd Dodge, Chief of Police for Greenfield. I'm here tonight in the wake of the horrible tragedies that are taking place continuously across the country. I'm hoping, I don't know past dialogue between the police department and the school committee, but I'm really hoping that you guys would re-entertain the concept of having our school resource officers in the schools. I want to protect our kids. There's no other motive behind that. If you look at the data that we're seeing here, this was days of old, this is today. and it's not changing, okay? The only reason why the last line is so short is because we're only 1 month into September. This is fatal shootings of children. It's real, it's here. I had talked about it previously in another meeting that in the wake of the school shooting in Georgia, the next day the FBI was in Greenfield. I don't know if any of you guys know that. So it's here. We're scared. We're not here to do anything with the children other than protect them. So I know we've been viewed a certain way in the past. Perhaps the plan changes these days. I was speaking with the command staff today, and maybe our officer, our student resource officer, just maintains security, checks doors throughout the day, watches the videos, makes sure people are not coming on that property that are not supposed to be there. Historically, I think they integrated, Karen, you could probably answer that more. They did a lot with the kids, gym stuff. I'm just looking to have someone there at the ready in case this happens. Again, the FBI was here in Greenfield already. It seems almost imminent, as sad as that is to say. As the chief of police, I want to protect the kids. That is my primary goal. We have 2 student resource officers that are always trained up and ready. They maintain their certifications. I need you guys to help with this. I really need you to help with this. We should be in schools. I'm not looking to come in and look like stormtroopers and try to scare everybody, but we really need to be there so that we can act quickly in the event something happens. I don't know what else to say for that. I don't know what the conversations were in the past. We're not trying to do anything other than offer protection, and we need to do that. So I really hope you guys think about that. And again, the minute you say you're up to speed, we will have someone there for you. We have 2 ready, so, okay? Have a good night, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, not seeing anyone online. Move on to our report of student representatives to the committee. Shane, welcome back.
Thank you. So we're going to begin as per usual with the Student Council, who has already been very busy so far this year. The Executive Board over the summer volunteered at the .5K and the Triathlon, where we also had our e-board meeting. We've helped at the meet and greet, made welcome back gifts for all staff, and treated the newly hired staff to special gifts as well. Last weekend, we held our first bonding, where new members learned many of our school energizers and spent some time getting to know other members. We have homecoming coming up at the end of the month, and we are signing up students to help with the Green River cleanup, and we'll be holding elections for open class officer positions soon as well. New students are always welcome to join Student Council. If they are interested, they can reach out to the president, who's myself, or our advisor, Angela Mass. Athletics are off to a busy start this fall season. You can go to arbiterlive.com to get all the schedules. On September 20th, our home field hockey game versus West Springfield will be dedicating the field hockey field to Donna Woodcock. Donna was a longtime educator and coach in the Greenfield Public Schools who passed from injuries sustained in a car accident. Donna meant the world to many people in athletics, especially field hockey, and this is the least that we could do for her. NHS had their first meeting to begin planning for our events and projects for the year. French Club welcomed new members to their first meeting this past Monday, where they planned fun, French-themed activities for the school year. And this year we look forward to social activities like movie nights and cooking classes, and their annual events such as Coffee House and Taste of World Cultures. Drama Club is excited to welcome new and former members to their first meeting on Tuesday, September 17th after school. Anyone interested in acting, stage crew, lighting, sound, costumes, makeup, and or props is encouraged to join in the auditorium. The Trivia Club had their first meeting on September 6th to determine a studying week time per week. We're going to be creating a new team this year with a couple of returning players. We're going to be focused on strategy and memorization and are hoping for a higher score and hopefully a win this year. And finally, the Students of Color Group Club has been founded at GHS. So students had their first meeting on September 5th with a mission to address school culture, specifically around racialized language. They're working with administration to have educational and interactive presentations led by students in advisory, as well as with faculty when possible. The club is working closely with school administration and communities that care as an outside support. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Any questions for Shane?
What
Mayor.
time is,
Please, yep.
what time is that dedication?
Let's see. I'm not sure if it is listed on here, but it's a field hockey game on September 20th. And if you go to arbiterlive.com, you can find that game.
Thank you.
And it's going to be sometime in that schedule, but I'm not positive exactly on when.
That's great. Thank you.
Mayor, it's at 3:30, and then the field hockey game begins at 4. And I just want to thank Shane. Good to see you back. But I also wanted you to know that I heard from some of your clubs, and if you have information that you want to get out on our new social media with Facebook or Instagram, to please send it our way, and we're happy to do that for the rest of the clubs. So if you could share that back with your advisors, that would be great.
I can absolutely do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to reports of the administration and our business manager.
Good evening, everyone. You have in your packet the budget report and revolving account as of the 6th of September. Where the goal is now, with the year starting, as I've said before, we are doing our personnel review to end up realigning where it is that people have the changes that have occurred over the summer. You'll also notice on the last page that there is a line added that's called grants undistributed. That's where some of those things are going to happen, where technically you're not allowed to charge expenses to grants until the grants have been written and approved. So we charge things to that line, and then when the grants get approved, we'll end up moving those out. That's a practice that's been done even when we haven't been here. In Greenfield, it's a good practice. So yeah, that's, nothing really new to report. I do have something that I'm going to be sharing in the next update based on the meeting that we had. Vera in the business office has been running some different report scenarios, and she and I think we found a very good report that would be both easier to read and in line with the little workshop that we had the last time. So we're going to send 2 reports out next time that are going to be formatted, one this way that you're used to seeing, and the other that we think will lend itself to some more, I'd say, educationally appropriate way to look at the budget, as far as it marries, for lack of a better phrase, both the DESI function codes and the organ objects that the city follows. So that's just a sneak peek ahead. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for our business manager? Not seeing or hearing any. Andy, I wanted to thank you very much for responding to the school committee's request for some reports that tell the story in a clearer way for some of us who aren't steeped in this all the time. That's going to be important for us, and I think will be a useful tool for the community as well, so thank you.
I'll tell you, without sounding like a geek, I'm actually excited about it.
Well, we don't avoid sounding like geeks around here very often, so thank you very much. Assistant Superintendent, your report.
Thank you. It's been good to get the school year kicked off. The real kickoff for us was our new teachers. New teacher orientation for Greenfield Public Schools took place on Wednesday, August 21st and Thursday, August 22nd. At that time, we welcomed 14 new teachers to our community, and over the 2 days, these educators were supported as they transitioned into their new roles, meeting with their assigned mentors and working with the IT department to gain access to the essential digital platforms. They were also introduced to the district wellness policy, our key instructional strategies, and priority subgroups. And additionally, Superintendent Patnode hosted a tour of Greenfield that received rave reviews. She led the bus and showed us all around. I said, I wish that happened on my first day. So it really was enlightening to see some of the places in the city and where our students are living and the bus rides that they're taking to and from school to help new teachers understand, what some of our students or families are having to deal with every day. On Monday, August 26th and Tuesday, August 27th, we welcome back all teachers and instructional assistants to kick off the new school year. The 2 days began with convocation at Greenfield High School, featuring inspiring performances by 2 student groups, Strings for Kids and Twice as Smart. It was great to have students involved. I know teachers and the staff were excited to see students, and kudos to those students who got there for 7:30, the 2 days before school was starting for them. Following the superintendent's message about rebuilding the Green Wave Nation, staff returned to their respective buildings to reconnect and prepare for the return of students. Throughout the 2 days, staff engaged in a variety of professional development sessions, including honoring the student experience in illustrative math, ongoing support for implementing our key instructional strategies, which are checking for understanding, scaffolding, questioning techniques, and think, write, pair, share, and training on using Imagine Math, our math intervention platform. Instructional assistants also receive training in strength-based instruction, and we look forward to seeing these efforts come to life in the coming weeks and months, and to build upon this work during the professional development sessions throughout the school year. All of these activities are planned with the intention of addressing objectives outlined in our strategic plan, and these activities are most directly connected to the sections related to curriculum and instructional supports. At the end of each session, participants complete feedback forms, and this information is then used to monitor our progress toward these objectives, plan future professional development, and inform the work outlined in our district prioritization plan, developed in collaboration with the statewide system of support team assigned to Greenfield by DESE. As school got kicked off, the window for our beginning of the year benchmarks also opened last Tuesday, September 3rd. This initial assessment window provides a baseline for our students, allowing us to measure their starting point for the school year. The data gathered will serve as a foundation for tracking student progress and growth throughout the school year, and will help us identify areas in need of targeted support. Based on this data, we will identify individual students and groups who would benefit from immediate intervention, allowing us to provide timely and effective support from the very start of the school year. Teachers and interventionists will collaborate closely with building leaders to identify gaps in learning and develop strategies to address these needs. This process will be continually monitored and refined through regular collaboration time, faculty meetings, the student support process, and other available resources. By consistently assessing and responding to student needs, we aim to ensure that all students are prepared to receive grade-level instruction with the appropriate supports. Additionally, we have posted for curriculum review team members in math and health, and ELA and music were done in year 1 last year, and this will keep us on track with the 5-year curriculum review cycle outlined in the GPS strategic plan.
Superintendent?
Good evening. We're going to start by, I'd like to introduce my new superintendent induction program coach, Kenny Salim, who's joining us this evening. Kenny was a superintendent for 9 years, 5 in Cambridge and 4 in Weymouth, Mass. Prior to that, he was a district leader in Boston Public Schools, where he oversaw new teacher support, professional learning, and served as the deputy to the chief academic officer. He began his career teaching biology at Brighton High School in Boston, and is currently teaching educational policy and leadership at Fordham's Graduate School of Education. Please welcome Kenny to our meeting tonight.
Thank you. Thanks. Great to be here this evening and be here with the school committee. So I'm pleased to join you this evening, and as Superintendent Patton said, my name is Kenny Salim, and I am an executive coach for Superintendent Patton through the new superintendent induction program. which is a collaboration of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, as well as DESE. NISIP is the new superintendent induction program is sometimes called, has been a resource for new superintendents for 15 years. Superintendent Patino is in cohort 15 and is one of 21 new superintendents across the Commonwealth. NISIP is a 3-year program that's designed to induct and support new superintendents who are either new to the role or new to the state. And the content of the program focuses on instructional leadership, team building, supervision, and professional learning. There's a strong focus on equity, which cuts across all the areas. And new superintendents meet on a monthly basis in year 1 for a total of 48 hours, in year 2 for 39 hours, and in small regional consultancy groups in their 3rd year. Superintendents also meet with their executive coaches for 6 hours a month in year 1, for 4 hours of coaching in year 2, and then in the regional consultancy groups in the 3rd year. We found that superintendents who have participated in NISIP over many years have valued the content, the coaching, and the collegiality that the program brings. And each coach works with their superintendent to establish on-site coaching opportunities, including providing feedback on leadership team meetings, providing feedback on entry planning and findings, and visiting classrooms and observing meetings with principals. And earlier today, had a chance to observe classrooms at the middle school, as well as one of the elementary schools earlier this afternoon. One thing to note is that the relationship between the NISIP coach and the superintendent is one of confidentiality by design. Coaches provide feedback to the superintendent only as part of the program. And it's really focused on learning. And to that end, superintendents produce an entry plan, which you'll be hearing more about this evening, as well as a report on entry findings and strategy for district improvement that'll be based on those findings. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any members have about the new superintendent induction program. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Superintendent Patino.
Any questions so far? Okay. Oh, Mayor?
I think it sounds great. I'm very happy for the superintendent. I told her I wish there was something like that for mayors. Really, it's wonderful. Do most of the new superintendents, most of them take advantage of this?
They do. It really is an expectation for really focusing on what the Commonwealth believes, both the Superintendent Association, the School Committee Association, as well as DESE, is important around district leadership in the Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, Superintendent.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to start with what Kenny was describing as the entry plan, and I have a PowerPoint here, and I apologize, I should have put the TV on the other side of the room this evening, so if you want to move your... But one of the overviews of the entry plan is really focused on providing you with an introduction, talking about the core values as the foundation, giving you an outline of the phases, the tasks, and the next steps in that timeline, and how I'll be reporting out the findings from the entry plan. And even though I've been in district, this is my first superintendency role, so there's definitely learning curves, and it's really been eye-opening for me to participate in the process of creating this plan. I'm not going to read my letter to you, but part of this is online and accessible to everyone, but part of really what I believe needs to be the foundation of any work that a superintendent does is to build and strengthen relationships, and whether that's with students, with staff, with faculty, with you, with community members, parents, families, and really just listen and continue to understand all that's going on in the district and all of the things that are ever changing that we need to pay attention to and try to support and move forward so that our student success is valid and increasing every year. So you can read my letter at a later date. The core values and beliefs, though, that I really hold true and are really the foundation of my entry plan are students first. They are the reason we all are employed in these roles. They are the reason we get up every day. They are the reason that we make decisions to try to make their experiences better in our school system. And with that is that shared vision with stakeholders. We all need to be working in the same direction and supporting the goals that we have as a district to move ourselves forward. That definitely aligns with support and engagement, though. You have to offer the support, but you also have to be engaged. You need to be seen, you need to be evident out in the community, you need to be available, you need to really express that you are in it and willing to do the hard work to make the change happen. And lastly, just that collaboration with families and how we need to be partners with them, that they entrust us with their children and we entrust that they are working with us to have everything moving in a direction their success for their students will happen. So really having that bridge is so important, and continuing trying to build that bridge with families is definitely one of the values I hold dear. One of the things we've been talking about as a school committee, though, was this strategic plan that was developed before many of you were actually school committee members, and understanding how that 5-year plan really is incorporated into everything that we do. So you'll see in Stephen's report tonight and in my report, one of the asks was to try to align some of the things that we're reporting out on with the strategic plan that's in place in year 2. So we're going to highlight those things as we provide information at these meetings, but I also took those 4 buckets, as I'll say, that came out of the strategic plan. Our overarching focus points are communications and outreach, instructional supports, curriculum and instruction, and operations. And I feel like those definitely link in support and in conjunction with the core values of my entry plan. And I also added our mission statement, which came out of year 1 with the strategic plan, which is the Greenfield Public School District is a place where every child is supported on their path to success. And I think we need to remember that every child's experience is different, and we want to make equitable experiences for them so that ultimately their success is graduating and becoming good humans in the world, doing wonderful things. Core value number 1, though, students first. So I really think that of all the components, this value is at the heart of everything we do. And I think all of us need to remember that these are the people that we are serving, and everything that we do needs to be in service of them. I also think that what they have here in Greenfield is special. We have phenomenal staff in every one of our buildings, and people that give their all every day for these kids, and supporting them in that work is really pivotal to the mission that I hold dear as a leader, but one as an educator, where we're constantly learning and trying to do the best for them and improving. We're not going to get it right all the time, but we definitely are trying our best to improve each and every day. How do we do that, though, and what is it that we want those students first to get? We want qualified educators in front of them. We want access to high-quality instructional materials and having that grade-level curriculum. And we've done a lot of work in the past 3 years when I was assistant superintendent to make sure that that is accessible to students across the board. We want their social and emotional needs met. We want to support that because we know their emotional needs and their social needs are part of their learning environment and what makes them successful in our classrooms. We want our schools to be safe and supportive and welcoming, and we want to be culturally responsive and always focusing on equity. Some of the things that our tasks or things that I can do along with our leadership team to make sure that we're always keeping those students first is site visits to buildings and classrooms. Stephen and I need to be boots on the ground, seeing what's happening in our classrooms and our buildings, and making sure that the work that we are giving to our leadership team is filtering down to the faculty, is filtering down to the classrooms in each of our schools. We are continuing our learning walkthroughs, and this year we have a learning walkthrough with a focus on literacy, and we will be doing 6 official learning walkthroughs as an administrative team, along with our SSOS partners, along with the teaching lab again this year. And we've adopted a new tool so that the results can really fine-tune our data on our students and what's going on and how we can move them forward. We have professional development aligned with the district prioritization plan of the SSOS team that we've submitted to DESE. And we're going to be reviewing district and state level data, not just 3 times a year, but constantly at our leadership team. And then they're going to lead their buildings at collaboration with their teachers so that people know how our students are doing each and every day. We have professional development with building leaders. We have department head meetings to discuss building needs to make sure that our buildings meet the needs of our students. We have a chronic absenteeism issue in Greenfield. We have to be paying attention to attendance. We cannot possibly move the needle for student improvement if our students are not in front of us. It has to be pivotal in the work that we're doing. And then we need to be reviewing student support team reports at the building level and to see where our students are struggling, who's being referred, and how we can support them so that they are successful. Core value 2 is that shared vision with stakeholders. We have to be partners, all of us together, for our students. We have wonderful people working hard from all community aspects, to our PTOs, to some teachers here that I highlighted, to our department heads, to every department that works for our buildings. And some of the things that we've discussed as I've just had some listening sessions with stakeholders, we're asking some of these questions. So I wanted to share some of the answers that came out of these listening sessions. And if you recall, I started these listening sessions in the spring as assistant superintendent. But one of the things that I ask people is, what do you want for the students of Greenfield Public Schools? And these are just some of the answers I got. Equitable learning experiences for all of our students, diverse opportunities to explore college and career experiences, and welcoming and supportive schools. And then I asked, what glows do stakeholders have about the Greenfield Public Schools? What is positive that you feel about our schools? And really, they know that the investment in the educational experience of all children is true. They know it from the teachers their students have. They know it from their building principals. They know it from the conversations they have with others in our buildings. Expanding access and communication venues with the district. You know, we have really tried to be more available and to communicate better and to expand access to building leaders, district leaders in different venues. And they definitely, over and over and over, I should have put this one in big letters, know that teachers care deeply about their kids. And they know that administrators are supporting teachers in that work. The last question I asked was, where would you want us to grow? Where do you see us needing improvement either in the next school year or in years to come? Because this isn't going to happen overnight. The expanded opportunities and career exploration was really a highlight for our students. You see a lot of workforce development opportunities budding out at GCC, our local community college. You see a lot of kids that don't want to go to a 2 or 4-year college, but they want to have a livable wage and they want to take other career paths. And how can we get them the opportunities to explore that? They want to see diversified clubs and extracurricular activities, shaking it up a little so that there is more for more students to get involved in. We see as schools match wits that made a comeback at the high school. I also saw an advertisement for a crochet club. So, teachers are listening. They want to expand those opportunities so that they have students who feel like they belong in a certain area or can enjoy some after-school activity with their peers and have some fun and opportunities to do that. And then one of the highlights that I always hold dear is more opportunities for highlighting academic achievement of students. Not just that honor roll in the newspaper quarterly, but how else can we highlight all of the good that they're doing, all of the hard work that they're doing, so that that is celebratory and rewarded. Core value 3 is that support and engagement. And I included part of the work that I started with our admin team. We are doing a book study on Leading with Dignity by Donna Hicks. If you've never read the book, I strongly recommend it. It's not just for educational leaders, it's about leadership in general and how we treat people that we are in collaboration with, whether it's in the workplace or other. We did our first PD development at our E-team this week, where Stephen and I led the first 2 chapters of this. But I took this quote and it really hit home with our E-team, and I really think it really shows what we value, and that dignity not only explains an aspect of what it means to be human, but also is a hallmark of our shared humanity. Everyone wants to be treated in a way that shows they matter. I started our convocation with the puzzle piece analogy, and that we are all a puzzle piece in the Green Wave Nation that need to come together, and we are not whole without each other's piece. And I think that is true at every level, and our students are very important in that whole puzzle. Really supporting the whole person. We try to do it with our staff and our admin team. The building principals are doing it with their teachers and with their students. Creating classrooms of trust, collaboration, and respect. Community connections and outreach. Really just making sure that we are doing the best we can to try to connect with everyone who's a part of our student experience. Modeling and leading by example. How do we want our leaders to lead? How do I want my principals to lead in their buildings? How do we want our teachers to lead in their classrooms? And I really think that that's the culture that we're trying to create. And then showing up for our students and staff. They want to see us outside of the classroom. They love when you go to an activity, a band concert. They see you at the football game. I was shopping at Big Y, and I get the huge shout out of Miss Patnode. They love to engage with us, and they would love to see all of you join them in supporting and engaging with them as well. I put this on here as a former high school principal. Our shared vision is that all students are successful and that they continue as lifelong learners, and they are active and engaged contributors to our society. We want to get them to the finish line, but we want them to go out and be good humans and give back to the world in which we live. So we want the support and engagement along the way so that they know that that is possible for each and every one of them. And then core value 4 is really that ingrained collaboration with families and being out in the community and being accessible. We had quite the representation in the parade this year. For any of you who saw us, we were a football field long is what a PTO mom said to me. So I am very happy with the representation, but I have done Saturday library visits to try to meet families. I worked the Harvest Supper. We've done food truck supper nights. We've done listening sessions, and we will continue to be accessible throughout so that families can engage with us in whatever venue they feel comfortable in. I think we need to continue to gather that feedback. We did a survey in March of family communications, and we want to do another one before the winter break, so we will be following up with that. We want to respect and welcome all to their children's school. We want people to feel comfortable coming to us. We want to celebrate the successes of their students together, and we want to make sure that they feel we are creating and we are actively equitable access for every student, and we want to plan and organize family engagement events to avoid conflicts. One of the biggest pieces of feedback is they can't be somewhere if they have children in 2 schools and the event happens on the same night. So we want to really take their feedback and make sure that we make the positive changes so they know we're listening and we know we care about what they expect of us. And I think that we have to keep in mind that we have to revisit and adapt as we go through the process. This is only year 2 of our strategic plan. We might have to, pivot and make some changes, but we are listening and we are paying attention. The tasks and timeline, just so you all have some outline as to when all of this entry plan and entry findings are going to happen. I'm sharing the plan with you tonight at our school committee. We're going to continue to provide listening session forums for stakeholders from now through December. Going to gather that information and data and then do site visits as well and take into account the information we get back from the site visits, process all of that information. I will keep you updated in my monthly superintendent reports to the school committee. We'll be analyzing and synthesizing the information December and January, and then our report of entry findings. A draft will be shared with our admin team at that level in January, and then the final will be presented to you in February. One of the things, though, that I really want everyone to keep in mind is not only do we have the district prioritization plan with our SSOS team, but we have a district DESI site review scheduled for this year. So we have been chosen to undertake that, and that is quite an undertaking. I was listening on a webinar the other day to all of the things that we have to do. So between those two exercises in reviewing our district and seeing where we stand and analyzing data and reviewing and giving feedback to building leaders and doing more walkthroughs and doing the cycle all over again, we're going to have a pretty good insight as to where we stand as a district come February, March after all of this. If the DESI district site review happens in October, which was one of the dates they had proposed, they did say that it would be about 4 to 5 months with the findings, so we might have them in spring. If they don't come until later in the year, we may not have their findings until the summer. So I just wanted to keep you abreast of that. And that is the end. So I do have, if you want to save questions, I do just have a update though as well to my superintendent's report, just to add a little more information that wasn't part of the entry. Thank you. So we opened school, as you know, August 26th. We had convocation, and as I spoke about in this presentation, we really were just trying to message that we are all valuable pieces to the Greenfield Public Schools, and that we need to work together and collaborate in a respectful manner. And that way we can create positive learning experiences for our students. I really do want to shout out and take this time to thank our maintenance and custodial staff, the admin assistants, the tech department, our business office staff, and building administrators for all of the work they did over the summer to get our schools ready and looking fabulous for opening. And a big shout out to the food service staff. They supported all of our summer school extended year programs with meals, and then did 60,000 meals this summer in our Summer Eats program, and I just can't thank them enough. I have added additional photos of them from the parade. They were left out of my s'more on Monday because I didn't have any, so we've added many more to the s'more. So if you have access to that link still, please go back. There's many more photos, but I told them I would give them a shout out tonight because I felt sorry that I forgot them. I do want to just highlight, though, they have switched their point of sale system to School Cafe, and families should be getting that information not only in my parent updates, but also in the school newsletters. So if you haven't switched over to the new point of sale for your child in school lunch, please follow the link to familyschoolcafe.com. And I also added that this was part of the operations district strategic plan for year 2. So Greta is doing a fabulous job as the food service director and making this happen, and appreciate all of the tech support from our tech department. District-wide staffing, we obviously, as you know, are still looking to fill some positions. We have instructional assistants at the elementary and middle school. We have special education positions at middle and high, some night custodian positions. We have a kindergarten position in Federal Street, and we're always looking for substitutes. One of the things I did want to also just say is there's been some conversations around the grade shifts that we had to make at our elementary schools to accommodate an additional K classroom at each elementary school. And the reason this happened was there was a significant amount of registrations in late summer. So I went and did some data collection with our registrar today, and between August 12th and August 28th, the district had approximately 45 new registrations, many of whom were those kindergarten families. So we continue every day, and I know for those of you that have been in Greenfield long enough, you know, they continue to move into district and register on an ongoing basis. So those numbers really spiked in late summer. The budget that we had approved for this year did not allocate funding to support additional teaching positions. The budget was developed last fall, approved in the spring, based on projections and information at the time, and therefore we had to work on being budget neutral in each school. And that required working with the union, adhering to collective bargaining agreements, discussing with the school committee vice chair. Glenn was on vacation and Kate was in charge, and her and I had a lengthy conversation. And Kate is also the budget subcommittee chair. And then I had informational sessions with each building principal and all of the teachers that were affected by this. So we met with all parties and made the necessary shifts to best meet the needs of our students. And in order to support the difference in sections in other grades, we looked to our Title I federally funded grant so that we could offer a shared IA for those classrooms. And we are still looking for those IAs. So if we have anyone out there that would like to come work with us, we would welcome you. It is important to note, though, that each elementary school houses a sub-separate special ed program, and some of those class enrollments reflected in total grade level numbers are not reflective of day-to-day operations in classrooms. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then my last bit of an update I think is so exciting, because I know this is near and dear to the committee's heart, is the music. We welcomed a new band director, Hannah Cherry, to the GPS staff and rock star. We also welcomed Rachel Hertz, who is our elementary 4th grade instrumental teacher, Eli Litwin, who is splitting his time between Federal Street and Newton, and we have our returning music teacher, Sarah Page, who splits her time between Federal Street and Discovery. And for those of you that don't know, Strings for Kids is hosting their program now, Mondays and Fridays, at our own Greenfield Middle School, so that students in the program K-7 come together and can practice together and learn from the older kids teaching the younger kids. And I talked to Julie Carew after Monday was their first day. She said it went phenomenal. So very excited to share all of that news along with the entry plan with all of you tonight.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, for your reports, and Superintendent for your very thorough and presentation of your induction plan. It's impressive. Questions and comments from the committee? Member Sexton.
Yeah. Thank you very much for laying your plan out and for mapping the strategic plan to the core values. Appreciate that. I had some questions about things that you didn't mention that have been coming up just from the community that I wanted to follow up on. I know that there was a little bit of a busing snafu and a communication snafu during the first few days with some of our elementary school students where their children were late by more than an hour, and there was not communication from the schools to the parents about this. How are you planning to make sure that that doesn't happen at all again in the remainder of this school year? And then I'm actually a little bit concerned that the public comment from Chief Dodge was the first time that I had heard that the FBI was at our school recently.
Not at our school.
Not-
In the city.
In the city.
In
Okay.
the city,
Okay.
not at our school.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I was,
That would be news
There
to
was-
me, too.
okay, great. Because there was a separate comment that I had received from a parent or wondering or believing that there had been an incident at our schools. And so I just wanted to make sure, because I don't want that to be the way that I find out. I would love to hear those kinds of things from you when and if hopefully not when, they happen. And I was also just curious about about the kindergarten class, and if I could follow up on that. Is the actual total number of kindergarteners that we have this year substantially more than the actual number of kindergarteners that we had last year? Okay. And so these are totally new, totally unanticipated. We could definitely not have reasonably predicted these 45 registered.
In
later.
2023, we had 86 kindergartners enrolled. In 2024, as of September 9th, we have 113.
Okay. Those are all the things that I wanted to follow up on.
Other questions? Member Goodwin? Oh, sorry, I had actually told Member Martini, who's online, that I'd recognize her next. I forgot. Member Martini, do you want to speak?
Thanks, Glenn. I just wanted to speak my thoughts about the presentation of your entry plan, Karen, because as you were going along, I was just noting all of the ways in which I have been seeing you put those actions into practice over the last couple of months, and even, while still in this planning phase. And I appreciate how much you have put yourself out there to be available to the community and participatory and engaging with all different stakeholders. And in terms of the first priority that you identified, putting students first, that's something that was definitely part of the conversation that you and I had in regards to what to do about the influx of kindergartners and how to go about identifying the most equitable action to take for our students, and to do that regardless of what may be popular or what opinions might be out there. So in any case, I just wanted to say I can definitely see those values taking place right out there in your actions over the past couple of months, and I appreciate that. So you sharing your plan really helps me to understand where things like that are coming from, and I appreciate the presentation of that. And also, I just wanted to give a special shout to Ms. Hertz. I'm so excited to have our fourth grade band program coming back like we planned, as part of our efforts to improve our music program that have been going on over the past many months. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Goodwin?
I have two questions. One, does the middle school have a music teacher?
Hannah Cherry splits her time between the middle school and the high school. The high school has a band, and the middle school, I talked to Hannah this afternoon. She has 31 fifth graders signed up for band, 12 sixth graders, and 9 seventh graders. So I think we see the investment in growing the middle school program and how that will feed into the high school. And I also want to let you know that 69 fourth graders are interested in taking instrument lessons, and that is 2/3 of our fourth grade signed up for that. So Rachel Hertz is going to be very busy.
Thank you. And so when the whole kindergarten information came out, I went to the DESC website, and they had us having 125 kindergarten students last year. So did we have 80 kindergarten students last year?
Yes, I shared the enrollment numbers with you from our
Right.
SIMS data.
Right,
Mhm.
but the state has got wrong data. That's weird. Okay, well, could be. So you only budgeted for the 81 for kindergarten teachers?
So at the time when we were developing the budget, Discovery School had 10 kindergartners enrolled. If my memory serves me correctly, I would go back to calling Christine for a definite answer on that. But, and historically, Discovery School is not a school that usually grows exponentially in numbers. So with 10 at the time, and I think that was maybe March. When did you approve our budget, Ginny? April? So I would say in March, they had 10. So that was the reason that they went down to 1 in the spring, and that's what was budgeted for. But as we can see, we can't predict the future.
So how
We
many?
do our best.
So how many are at each elementary school right now? Kindergarten teachers? 2?
No, Newton and Federal Street have 3, and Discovery has 2.
Okay. thank
Because
you.
Newton's numbers and Federal Street numbers were just as high as the 1 in the 2 at the other schools. So we
Got it.
added across the board
Okay,
for our youngest learners.
great.
I do have an answer. So, as you know, we have a new principal at Newton, and at 3:45, she called me because she was trying to get everyone on board. And at 3:46, I sent the message out because I said, "Have you told parents that they're this late?" And so we messaged as soon as I was aware. But our follow-up was Stephen, as well as her mentor, who is Miss Fenimore from the middle school, spent the next 5 days down at Newton working on a dismissal plan. And you can report, but I think we're pretty good now, even with the change of strings for kids. But I think it was a learning curve for a principal in realizing that we have to communicate better. And we sent a message out and did our best to apologize and understand people's frustration. But I don't know if Stephen wants to just, he was boots on the ground in the dismissal.
Yeah, I think Superintendent Patnode said it well. I think it was a challenge, especially that first day. And I think then on Friday, we introduced kindergartners, but they got out on a half-day Friday, so we had a trial run with just kindergarten and then had to adjust the plan based on some other after-school activities at YMCA, Learning Knoll, things like that, that were coming that following week. So it was bumpier than we would have hoped for the first couple days. But I would say by that last Tuesday, Wednesday, it was up and running well. And the feedback that I got from a couple of parents that I had met the first couple of days was much more positive at the start of last week than it was, and rightfully so. We recognize that, and our conversations with those parents where we absolutely need to be better communication, to make sure that they know and we know that their students are the most important things to them. And we recognize that that was on us, and we had to make some shifts to be better. And I think we got there quickly, but unfortunately, probably not quickly enough.
And the one addition that we did add on is TravelCuz has adopted a new system, which was also part of the snafu. So now we meet with TravelCuz every Friday to review all of our lists and our runs and just touch base because they're also undergoing a lot of changes in their company with the new system and just trying to figure out where every kid's supposed to be on what bus. So we're trying to do open communication, follow-ups, and have boots on the ground so that we are better. Always trying to improve.
To follow up, can you speak a little to the complications? Because I think a lot of us in our minds, school transportation is you're at school, you get on the bus and you go home, but I know it's more complex than that. Different students are going to different places. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Sure. We are very thoughtful in allowing kids to take buses to aftercare. So Newton doesn't have aftercare, so if they go to aftercare, they get bused to Federal, but they may not go to aftercare every day. They may only go to the YMCA on Mondays. They might go now to Strings for Kids on Mondays and Fridays. So you might have a second grader who takes bus 6 on Monday, bus 8 on Tuesday and Wednesday, takes bus 4 on Thursday, and then on Friday. And then you also might have that same student who is going to go over a friend's house. So it's this ever-changing, especially at the elementary level, just with how young they are and how often we get information from families during the day on changes to transportation. I'm sure Member Goodwin can remember that as an elementary principal and how it is always in flux, in changing, and it's just always trying to keep them in line. So one of the things we did do to try to address that is change the dismissal protocol, and really we had teachers practicing that dismissal protocol after that event, and we had the principal and Stephen down there just going through the motions so that everyone had a better handle on that.
Thank you. Other questions? Mayor?
First, I wanted to just say I'm very impressed with your community engagement. It's like practically on a daily basis, and I thought it was very reflected in the fact that you took all the new teachers and were bringing them to show them all of Greenfield and where everybody was and what was happening here. I thought that's really, showing them what our community is like also, so thank you. So I have a couple of questions. One, you and I, we're both on the shelter call on Wednesdays, and if you're expecting a bigger, a change in the elementary school numbers, we heard, so there's 45 families there, and it sounded to me as if quite a few would be leaving. Now, do we know if they're going to be schooled in Sunderland? Do you have any idea of that?
So the information we're waiting to find out is if they're still technically considered unhoused in Sunderland, and if so, they can remain with us for the school year. And even if they acquire a lease, it is my understanding they can remain with us until the end of the school year. So I'm not sure after today's call. We've got a list of some that have moved into Sunderland but are not confirmed as leaseholders, and how that affects their schooling for their kids. So we have been having, as I indicated on this morning's call, we had to have a separate call just to try to get a handle on the ebb and flow of the 5 new open rooms now. We were informed 5 families are coming, and they do have school-age children. So we don't have those registrations yet or grade levels. So it's this constant influx, and then trying to figure out what transportation they go on as well. So it's definitely a lot.
Right. I just wanted everybody else to understand that as well. You were done a good job on those calls, and at the very first, I was there at the beginning, and people were there getting everybody registered. And then we knew that there were 45 families, but I think that some of that was maybe upon the individuals themselves to get registered, so that was a bit of a challenge. And then to say also, we will be filling up every room, and I'll be reaching out to the delegation for, as much funding as we can, so I want to work together with you on that. I don't know, it has a great impact on the schools and, also on the community, so there'll be more changes in those numbers, probably. So I just wanted to kind of ask about that and say that.
I do want to add, though, we welcome every student with open arms and enjoy all of them in our community. Even on day one, we had 5 that weren't registered, but we kept them and loved them and fed them and had them in our classrooms until we could get them properly registered. So we do what we can because students first.
Thank you. That is something that they keep highlighting at all the calls, that this is a community that is one of the most welcoming, embracing, and a lot of that starts right there, so thank you.
Other questions or comments? Thank you both very much. Let's see. We're moving on to Item 6, action item, amendments to Title IX policies. I'd like to start by just kind of giving a little update or overview of a kind of a orientation to our policy review process. We used to talk about passing things on first reading and then passing things on second reading, but we have recently updated our policy adoption policy. And so the phases that a policy goes to on its way to becoming adopted by the committee is one, it's an information item. It's distributed with an agenda. Then, and ideally, there's a discussion item where we get a chance to talk about it, and then it can be sent to the policy subcommittee or come back at the next meeting. And then there's when it is an action item, when it is discussed and adopted or rejected. At times, we do need to move items directly from information item, in other words, distributed to you with your agenda, immediately to action item. That's happening tonight with the amendments to Title IX policies. Before we get to the substance of that, I just want to check in any questions about our policy adoption process. It's kind of new for us. Okay, great. Superintendent, could you orient us to these policy changes?
Sure. August 1st, the Title IX laws and regs change. So Attorney Roach, who you met this evening, has incorporated the changes to Title IX into policy ACA and ACAB for us for adoption under the new regs and laws.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with a motion to adopt policy ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex or gender identity.
So moved.
A motion from the mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Member Childs. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote because Member Martini is attending by Zoom. We will do the vote by roll call. Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Kate, I'm sorry.
Take my vote, which is yes.
Oh, okay. Kate also voted yes, so it is unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to policy ACAB, sexual harassment. May I have a motion to adopt the revised policy ACAB as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Member Childs, a second.
Second.
Second by Member Goodwin. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote by roll call. Member Martini?
Yes.
Okay, Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor
Yes.
Disorder?
Yes.
Yes, passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Next, we will move on to acceptance and enrollment of foreign students. Superintendent, will you give us the setup?
Sure. The Greenfield Public School Registrar received information regarding 2 students who are staying with host families in Greenfield. One is from Spain and one is from Germany. In looking at our current school committee policy, we do not have a policy on allowing foreign students to enroll in the district as part of any exchange program. So upon review with district council, there was a directive that the acceptance of the 2 students would be required by a vote by school committee tonight, and then the policy subcommittee could take this matter under advisement moving forward after that. But if the vote was in favor of that, we could support these students. And I do just want to add, they are under a J1 visa, and under that visa, DESE does not provide any financial funding to the schools for that, and the students do not acquire any high school credits. They simply would get, if they enroll as seniors, a certificate of attendance if they chose to walk at graduation. It's really about the experience our students would have by having them integrated into the school community.
Okay, we'll start with the motion and then we can discuss. Is there a motion to accept and enroll the foreign students who are applying for acceptance and enrollment?
I move that we accept the foreign student exchange students into Greenfield Public Schools.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Are they both seniors?
When they return home, they'll probably do, it's considered like their gap year. They come here for that. They're not technically seniors, but we would do that so that they could engage in all of the activities that are part of that experience.
Great. You mentioned that obviously we're not going to get any additional monies from DESE, but are you confident that we can support these 2 students reasonably?
Yeah, the high school senior numbers are pretty low relative to past classes, so I think it would not be an issue.
I have a comment or question from Member Martini. Go ahead, Member Martini.
First, I just had a hard time hearing exactly what the motion was. Could you repeat it?
Member Susan Farber, can you? Oh, Susan Farber's coming up or coming to a mic.
The motion is to accept and enroll the foreign students in the Greenfield Public Schools.
Did you hear that, Member Martini?
Yes, I did. Thank you. And I just want to say I'm really excited about the prospect of having students from Germany and Spain joining our students here in Greenfield. I think that there are so many mutual benefits for our kids and these visiting students, and I'm very excited about it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, no, okay. I'll say I also think it's really wonderful and I know from my own experience of forming friendships with people from other countries, it's really helpful in expanding my own horizons and getting out of my US bubble. I hope it will be enriching for them, but I think it will also be enriching for our own students. Great, so we will do the vote. Member Martini?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Welcome to the Greenfield Public Schools. Let's see. Yeah, okay, let's see if we can. So the consent agenda, as you know, any member can remove an item from the consent agenda if they want to consider it separately. We need to remove the item A because those are not the minutes of the school committee. They were draft notes. So there's more formal minutes that we will take up another day. So are there any other items, B through I, on the consent agenda? Yes, Member Goodwin?
I'd like to remove the vote to withdraw from NEASC.
Okay, we will discuss the withdrawal from NEASC separately. Anything else that anyone would like to remove? All right, I'd like to hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of items A and E.
So moved.
Motion from the mayor. Second?
Second.
Second from Member Childs. Any discussion? Member Sexton.
Assuming that it passes, I just want to preemptively thank Greenfield for their donation.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Member Martini?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
The consent agenda passes with those exceptions. We can now move, let's see, we're at 7:57. We're going to keep going. Let's discuss, so I guess I would like to hear separately a motion to withdraw from NEASC. Maybe we need a little more orientation to that. Superintendent, can you give us a little overview of that?
Sure. My letter to the school committee for the proposal is included in your packet, but NEASC has often been, years ago, as the member organization that is overseeing accountability with high schools, and it's a 10-year accreditation visit, and it's a lengthy process that follows and tracks 7 standards and how our high schools compared to other high schools in not only Massachusetts, but in the country. It was really the only accountability system at one point, which is why everyone was engaged in it for many, many years. We were involved in the process when I was at the high school and went through it, and then they give you 2- and 5-year plans after that you have to account for and work on. But it is a lot of time and energy on the staff to be part of all of the 7 standard subgroups, and you need a steering committee, and all of that takes time away from the time that we need for other initiatives that we have. Moving fast forward 10 years later, we are in the 10-year cycle. They delayed us a bit because of COVID, but I had a superintendent's call the other day and just kind of asked around what everyone locally has been doing, and many, if not all, of the surrounding high schools have removed themselves from NEASC. It is, to me, an unnecessary process for Greenfield, considering we are in SSOS turnaround. We are also having a DESE district site review this year. So to then add a third accountability engagement process with the high school staff, along with everything else that we're working on, seems to be a bit overwhelming. I did do a survey of the high school staff, and had the majority of them also reply and agree that it is not a process that they felt they could undertake at this time. It is also quite expensive, so you have to invest in a lot along the way, but then when the site visit comes upon us, you're putting up the site visit committee members at hotels, they're spending 4 days here, you're spending your time with them, and really, it is not something that we need a deep dive on. We have a lot of oversight already on our school system, including the high school, which is now in turnaround. I listed some other areas where we are monitored and audited over the course of just my few years in district leadership. Like I said, we've been chosen for the DESI district site review, and that's going to focus on a lot of areas of district-wide improvement. We have the SSOS targeted assistance overview. We've recently undergone a ESSA Title I, 2A, and 4 6-year monitoring audit. We have also undergone a tiered focus monitoring of our L program. We've undergone a tiered focus monitoring review of our special ed programs. And it just is one more ask from an accreditation system of accountability that I don't think at this time Greenfield High School needs or can undertake. So I did also get the question, though, like, what does that do for our students, colleges, and universities, and how is that measured? And I talked to UMass, I talked to GCC, I talked to Westfield State, and I believe I included, let me just see. The colleges and universities all replied. They do a holistic review of applications for all of their applicants' admittance. An applicant from an accredited high school is not automatically guaranteed admission. Neither is an applicant from a non-accredited school automatically denied. And in talking to the local universities, they said they don't even pay attention to accreditation anymore on college applications. So at this point, it just, with our building administration, with all of the other oversight and items we have on our plate, I think it is not something we want to engage in, and that it is timely because NEASC is also asking us for our fee to engage in the process and to have them come soon to the high school, which is why it's on the agenda. At any time in the future, if we change our mind, we certainly can rejoin and go back into the NEASC accreditation cycle. I do know, I think I listed on here the local schools that have removed themselves, but it is, Frontier is no longer involved, Pioneer is no longer involved, Gil Montague has removed themselves from it as well as, Hampshire, I think Granby removed themselves. So there is this, I don't want to say need, because we do have oversight and accountability, but we didn't need one more aspect of that.
Thank you for that thorough introduction. So is there now a motion to vote to withdraw the Greenfield Public Schools from NEASC?
So moved.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Why don't we do Member Childs for the motion and Member Martini for the second? Okay. Discussion. Member Goodwin.
So where are we in the 10-year cycle right now? If we withdraw, are we accredited this year? How does that work?
So we are in I think 2025 is the planning year, so I think for this year is our 10th year. It's really our 12th because of COVID, and they extended our plan. So the process would then start, and then 26 and 27 would be an enormous amount of undertaking, and then you would have the site visit and, 2028, I would think, but I can find more information out if you want. And we would also have to consider where we are budgeting for this, because this is not a budgeted item.
Any questions or comments? Other items? All right, let's move to a vote. Oh, sorry, Member Martini, please.
Well, my question is related to what Superintendent Patnaud just said. What do they charge? What is the cost to the district for participating in this?
Let's see, it's in our packets. $55,500. Wait, the total
So-
cost for the 10-year cycle, okay.
Yeah.
Total cost for the 10-year cycle is $55,500. Annual membership fee is $35.55. Anything else, Member Martini?
No, that was all.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? Okay. Member Martini?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. It's now 8:06. The school committee gets to take a 5-minute break after 8 p.m. Going to give you whatever the rounding up the minute. So we will reconvene at 8:12.
I'd just like to say these chairs really get better and better as the night goes on.
Everything gets better and better as the night goes on. You're ready when we are? Okay, we're not ready yet. Oh, now we are. Okay. We're reconvening. And so we have before us resolution for the Greenfield School Committee about ballot question 2. I'd like to hear a motion that the committee adopt the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Motion from the mayor. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second from Member Childs. This was brought to us by Doug Selwyn. Doug, do you want to say anything else about it? You spoke about it during public comment, but if there's anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear. I'm happy to, answer questions, but it
Great.
seems to me that it's pretty self-explanatory.
Any discussion? Okay. Well, I guess we're just I'll just say I appreciate you very much for bringing this to us. I appreciate you for your MCAS advocacy, and I'm very much myself in support of this. I especially liked your emphasis that it doesn't change the fact that people may be taking the MCAS, but they can graduate on the basis of passing their courses, not on the basis of a standardized test. And I think that there's a lot of value and data that we get sometimes from standardized tests, and it also when it's tied to certain things and when it's used as the only rubric, et cetera, that can be really damaging for education. And so I think this is one step towards reforming that system. Thank you for bringing it to us. So let's take a vote. Member Childs?
Yes.
Oh, I said member, I'm getting tired. Member Goodwin?
Yes.
We'll go around the other way. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a yes. And Member Sexton?
Yes.
Member Martini? Are you back with us, Member Martini? I'll take that as an abstention from Member Martini, so the motion passes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Doug, just let us know how we can work with you to get the word out about having adopted it, or whatever the next steps are, signatures and the like, whatever you need.
Among other things, a part of the resolution is letting, both communicating with the governor and our local legislators. I mean, that's built into the resolution, so that would be one step. And of course, there's a lot of canvassing and activity going on to let people know about the fact that there is this ballot question. So maybe we can talk together about how to work together on it.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Member Martini, I'm sorry, I've been putting my phone face down, and it probably makes it hard to hear. Okay. On. We're moving on to appointments. I had presented to you, I think, last time, a draft or the subcommittee functions and duties, and just wanted to open up the discussion for any questions or comments about the subcommittee functions and subcommittee functions and duties document. Member Sexton.
I have two questions, one about a specific subcommittee and one in general. I'll start with the more general question. A few months ago, I honestly can't remember how many months, but earlier, at the end of last academic year, we had voted as a part of this initial discussion to eliminate a committee that did exist that was specifically naming student equity. And in part of that discussion, what emerged is the idea that equity is part of all of the things that we do, which I believe is true. But I also believe that equity, when it's not explicit, is often not enacted. And so as part of the prior discussion, I had urged or asked that these committee descriptions and their functions, duties, roles, and responsibilities included some specific element of how they were working to address an equity issue or working toward more equitable outcomes for our students. And I am just not seeing that reflected in many of these descriptions. And I would love, if that is occurring at the specific subcommittee level, I would encourage all of those chairs to revisit that question and name something, or if you're waiting on something in particular, to communicate that, what you're waiting for. But I just don't want us to forget that. The second thing was specifically to do with the redistricting subcommittee and why it appears that, like, y'all don't think that that committee can be judicious in its choosing of its own meetings, and why that one requires a vote of the full committee, or the superintendent gets to decide when those meetings happen as opposed to the chair of that subcommittee.
Well, I guess I can speak to that. All of our standing committees and subcommittees are to take on work that has been charged to them by the full committee. And currently there is no work assigned to that committee. I think I heard a lot of interest from that committee when we were discussing, because it is an ad hoc committee, which means that at some point it does come to an end. It does sunset. In that discussion, I heard one of the major reasonings that people wanted to kind of keep the ad hoc committee up and running, in spite of the fact that we did establish our policy and our plan for redistricting, was that something could come up for the superintendent and wanting to be able to have that committee there to be helpful to her. So, you're raising your hand? Oh, please. Yeah.
I think with some of the shifts and moves, we should have a committee meeting. So I don't recall, Stacy, who else is on that committee with you, Anne and Ginny. Just because we are going to have to make some budget decisions earlier rather than later this year with regards to those shifts, and I'm happy to have a committee meeting with you to get some input on some of that. So if that's something you are, I just wanted, before we got into a lengthy conversation, just to put that out there so that we could schedule something, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Great, and yes, I would love to schedule something. I believe that one of the roles of this committee is that it doesn't only serve as an instrument of hearing from the superintendent, but also from the community on their questions and what they still have lingering about the redistricting process or the policy itself as well. So that's another reason why I wanted to be able to call my own meetings if I needed to, because it's not responding only to one entity. I'm not only responding to you, I am responding to you, but I'm not only responding to you, I'm also responding to the members of our community, our parents who still have questions, and I want to be able to call a meeting without necessarily needing a full vote of everybody else who's not part of that committee in order to make that happen, if needed.
So can you talk a little bit more about the scenario you're imagining?
Sure. I have received many questions actually about when the 8th grade moves out of the high school, what happens to the space? What are we considering putting there? And what are the options that we have for utilizing that space that will become vacant once those students are moved back into the middle school? So that's one example of a question that's come up.
So you're saying there are members of the community who have questions about how the policy is going to be implemented and the implications on that on the operations of the school?
Not only that, yes, and they want a place to weigh in, and I don't see any other venue for them to weigh in on that type of question. I mean, there's here, but not everyone comes here.
So it sounds a little bit like you would like to be able to have the subcommittee function as almost like a place where people could come and talk and share their questions and concerns about the way that our policy is being implemented.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, but then, this kind of goes back to Liz LaFawn's conversation with us last time, that once it changes from a policy that we're instituting to something that the superintendent is implementing, then it kind of enters that realm that is really outside of our scope as a school committee.
I would like to refer to policy AE and just let, we don't necessarily need, but implementation is necessarily part of policy, and policy is necessarily part of implementation, and there is not a clear and hard boundary on this particular issue, and so I will fight for the existence of this committee and my ability to call a meeting when I need to.
AE, commitment to accomplishment. The school committee accepts ultimate responsibility for all facets of school operations because it is accountable to residents of the district. The school committee will maintain a program of accountability consisting of the following elements: clear statements of expectations and purpose as these relate to operations, programs, departments, and positions, provisions for the staff, resources, and support necessary to achieve stated expectations and purposes, subject to financial support by residents of the district, evaluation of operations and instructional and staff development programs to determine how well expectations and purposes are being met, specific performance objectives to enable individuals to direct their own efforts to the goals and objectives of the district, evaluation of the efforts of employees in line with stated objectives, with the first purpose of evaluation being to help each individual make a maximum contribution to the goals of the district. Every effort will be made by the school committee, superintendent, and staff to fulfill the responsibilities inherent in the concept of accountability. I guess we see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this acceptance of ultimate responsibility as being a directive for us to get involved in the ongoing operations of the district. I think that it's clear in other places that our role is really different. Our role is confined to budget, policy, goals, and evaluation of the superintendent. So I don't see it as our role to convene, to have subcommittees whose goal is to listen to the community members' concerns about the way that our policies are being implemented by the superintendent. I see it as the superintendent's role to be in communication with the community and to be listening to their needs and concerns. And I think our superintendent has demonstrated a lot of willingness to listen and does get a lot of phone calls with a lot of feedback about a lot of a lot of our policies and how they're being implemented. So I guess so. You know, our policy about the way our subcommittees get organized is basically that people will be provided with a list of functions and duties, and as of now, I'm not inclined to change the functions and duties that I'm providing to the committee. But I appreciate your sharing your concern and your disagreement. Any other comments or questions? Member Goodwin.
When we moved the fourth grade back to the elementary schools, there was a committee called the STAR Committee, and they met every Thursday afternoon, and I was on that committee, along with parents from every elementary school. And it was led by school committee members. The superintendent attended when she could, but it was a good platform for parents just to express questions, which nobody ever thought about before. And so I think, parents are trying to, we have a history of putting grades in different places, closing schools, opening schools in Greenfield, that parents are just looking for an outlet. So the STAR Committee gave them an outlet for those questions, and they were, everybody was allowed to speak like a public comment, so that there was a way to get an outlet.
Thank you. Other comments, or Mayor?
So I have a question, and maybe I wasn't paying attention to this when it came up before. This new thing, this is new, the subcommittee functions and duties. Who wrote this?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did we have something? I didn't mean that in a bad way. I was like, oh, where
No.
did that come from?
Yeah, fair
wh-
enough. Fair question.
So did we have anything before about what all the subcommittees did?
We did not. So we have a policy that had not been being implemented, that school committee members would be presented with a list of their functions and duties for each of the standing and or ad hoc subcommittees that they serve on. And so this is a new, and that I think is part of what's creating a little bit of this discrepancy, is that when we created that ad hoc committee, there wasn't enough functions and duties that was created as kind of sort of the chartering process for creating the subcommittee.
Follow up, if I may.
Yes, please.
So I'm just looking at like the budget and finance subcommittee. The duties at the very beginning, if the school committee has oversight, is supposed to have budgetary oversight. The way this is worded, analyze superintendent's budget proposals and ensure alignment with district priorities and goals.
Well, the way our budget process works is the first, the budget that is originally developed is the superintendent's budget with school committee input. And then after it goes to the city council and then comes back, then we vote on the individual line items or changes based on the new number that we get from that process.
So if we didn't vote to support this, then what happens?
You mean if you didn't vote to support what?
These new definitions, I guess. Was that what we call them, definitions of the job descriptions of the duties of each committee?
Functions and duties. The way our policy is written, they are just to be presented to you, so I'm sharing them with you as a review, but I'm not seeing them as something that requires a school committee vote.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. Next, and we have listed here as communication subcommittee, but I think I was also thinking of it as a community engagement subcommittee. This is an idea I had that I wanted to put forward to us, that we establish a subcommittee to look at community engagement and communications, not basically school committee community engagement and communications. In other words, what are our own communications? What's our own engagement with the community? And so it's one of the, I guess I can talk more about it, but I guess first I would like to, oh, Kate? Oh, I'm on echo. Mhm. Oh, somehow I'm on echo in Kate's world, I think. Let me see what's happening with our Zoom. Sorry, folks. Kate, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Have you had your hand up for a while? Oh, now you're quiet. Can you try again, Kate? Okay. Kate, if you come back, just speak up. So I'd like to hear a motion that we create a community engagement subcommittee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so discussion. Yes, I can hear you now. Before I was hearing an echo of my own voice.
I think the reason you have the echo is because you are muted right now on
Oh,
Zoom.
sorry about that.
So I have you open on YouTube.
Okay, you can turn off YouTube. I unmuted myself, and I apologize for my technical glitch.
I think that will resolve it, I hope.
Yep.
I have a question and then a suggestion with a little bit of history. So because you were muted at first, I don't believe I heard any motion that is currently on the table. So if there is one, could you please repeat it?
Yes, there is a motion to create a community engagement subcommittee, and it would be a standing subcommittee. I guess that should maybe be included in the motion. So who made the motion? Would you accept that as a friendly amendment to make it a standing committee?
Yes.
And this person who seconded?
Yes.
Okay, so amended to be a standing community engagement subcommittee.
Okay, and is that motion just to create a new standing committee, or is this to replace the ad hoc redistricting committee?
It's just to add the standing community engagement. So the ad hoc committee would stand. Yep.
Okay, I see. Thank you. Well, in that case, then my comment about history was perhaps irrelevant, but I just wanted to share some information based on member section's comments, and I also appreciate the historical information from member Goodwin as well. In my experience
Thank you. Any other discussion about the Community Engagement Standing Committee? Member Goodwin?
How do you see this being different from what Karen is already doing for community engagement?
This would be focused on school committee engagement. I mean, so how are we getting out into the community? How are we talking and relating to people? How are we showing up at community events? Not focused on the superintendent's work, but our own work as school committee members. Other discussion? All right, then let's move to a vote. Member Martini?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor Desorger?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. The motion carries. We will have a Community Engagement Standing Committee. I'd like to move immediately to appointments to the subcommittee. I'd like to, I'm put forward a, I guess my appointments would be, if approved, Member Sexton as chair, Member Goodwin, and Member Deneve. Is there a motion to approve that assignment? A motion from Member Martini. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Second from Member Sexton. Discussion?
Have those listed members all agreed to participate?
I haven't had a chance to talk to all, but I would definitely welcome to hear from people if they don't want to be, if they don't want to serve. We can certainly discuss that and amend the motion.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because one of the mentioned members is not present.
Yep.
Yep.
I think she'd be willing to serve. And any other discussion? All right, let's move to a vote. Member Martini? Oh, Member Martini, I see your hand raised. Sorry, I keep forgetting to look at the laptop. Feel free to just speak up.
I don't know the perspective of those particular members on taking on this responsibility, but I just wanted to voice my support. I think that I always appreciate Member Sexton for your leadership capabilities and your interpersonal communication with people. So I would strongly support that. And Member Goodwin, I know, has relationships already with lots of people in the district, and it would really be invaluable to have a person with those relationships on a communications committee. And Member Deneve is, I always admire for her technological savvy and knowledge when it comes to modern communication with people, which is not my strong suit. So she would definitely be better than I for this particular subcommittee. So that's how I see those three individuals being a good fit for a committee like that. And whether they want to take it on or not, I would support them if they wanted to.
Okay. Alrighty, Member Sexton.
I would be willing to take on the chair of that subcommittee. I want to be clear to the other people in the room. I am in favor of having a committee like that. I will just share that I did speak with Chair Johnson-Musad about the opportunity, and I want to be also very clear that it's not a figurehead position, that I actually do want to be out there doing stuff possibly in coordination and collaboration with you, Superintendent Pat Node, but, other things also. And I welcome creating another dedicated venue for engaging with the public and for getting their feedback and for being out amongst them, talking about what matters to them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Member Childs.
I just need a little bit more reassurance that I'm not doing something terrible to Member Deneve while she's not here to say no to more work.
She said yes. She said
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No subcommittees without consent. Any other discussion? All right, let's vote. Member Martini?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be gonna really strengthen us as a committee and strengthen the community and help to ensure the success of every child. We're moving on to school committee reports. Report of the chair. I'd like to make some share some exciting and good news. If I can find it. I lost my tab. But our illustrious Elizabeth Deneve, who has been serving as our rep to our MASC Division 5, has been recognized by MASC as thank you, Superintendent. The MASC's Division 5 All-State School Committee 2024 Award winner. So these are awards that are given they're given each year if a district feels that there's someone who is worthy of receiving it. So it's not just something that is offered every year. They have to have someone that they feel is really deserving. And I think we've all seen the wonderful advocacy and relationship that Member Deneve has made with MASC. And also the wonderful resources she's brought to Greenfield in terms of trainings and encouragement to go to trainings in other places, sharing resources gathered at those trainings with us. And it's been a huge gift to the committee that she's been doing that. And I only wish she was here and not feeling sick to be able to receive our applause for her wonderful success. Wonderful news. We'll move on to reports. Member Martini, the Budget and Finance Subcommittee.
Can I first just say that I'm shaking my pom-poms over here for Denise for that award. She definitely deserves it.
Yes, wonderful.
I have appreciated the organization and training that she has brought to the committee and the coalescing of our own participation within MASC and with regard to legislative advocacy. So much of that is down to her. So she's definitely devoted a lot of personal time above and beyond her obligations to the committee in Greenfield, and I just appreciate that so much. So I'm very glad to hear that. On to budget and finance. I am delighted to share with everyone the budget development calendar for FY26 that is in your materials. This, as you'll recall, is something that the committee has discussed over the past several months. It is not something that we have had before, and it is something that is a practice in many other school districts. And we wanted to take it on because in the past we've had some difficulties when it comes to confusion for people about how exactly the school department's budget is formulated and where their opportunities are for input in that. And so the goal of this calendar is to help us overcome those issues. And it's just a first step. This is not a magic wand, and it's not going to solve all of our challenges with regard to that. But I think it will be a good step, a good first step. So as you'll see, there is a cover page there for our calendar, and you'll notice that all over it are our students. And I want to just explain that that is there because it's there as a reminder that that is who we do all of this for. And so that we will keep our students front and center when we are discussing and deliberating on and considering issues related to our budget. So they are the face of our budget development calendar so that we are always reminded that we put students first, which is part of our values and also part of school committee policy, which you'll see a little bit later in this document. Now, the second page is the calendar itself. You'll see that it is color-coded into several different categories so that we can elucidate for people the parts of this budget development process that come from the city, that are done by the school committee itself, actions that are taken by the school administration, and then events that happen at the state level that impact us. So you couldn't possibly put every single step that all of those entities take into one calendar and have it end up on one page. Okay, so this is curated to the most important events that take place throughout the year, and hopefully this will make sense to people. I realize there are some acronyms on there, and the reason for that is just space. It's not, if I were to have spelled out those acronyms every time, then it wouldn't have been possible to make this format work on the page. So what I tried to do was spell out full names for those things, the first instance, and the acronym in parentheses. And then thereafter, you'll see things like CIP, stand for Capital Improvement Program, and so on and so forth. So I am putting this forward to the committee with one small adjustment that will need to be made because I missed one of those first instances of an acronym, which was BNF, which stands for Budget and Finance Subcommittee. Then down on the third page, this is the last page of the document, that goes to offer people some good, solid, basic information about what the school committee policy is on public engagement, which you can read for yourself there, and then how all the different ways in which currently a member of the public can share their input and participate in this process. So I tried to link things directly for people in there so that it would be really easy to just hop over to whatever it is you're interested in there, whether it's the school committee policy manual on this or specific email addresses and things like that. And this is meant to just be like a FAQ for people about how they can join in and participate in the budget development process, which is part of our policy, and it's spelled out for you there. That I have more to say about what's next for the Budget and Finance Subcommittee in terms of implementing our policy there about public engagement in this process. But first, I would just like to move that the school committee adopt this as our annual budget development calendar, pardon me, for FY26, with one clerical change to spell out the first instance of B and F on page 2.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to?
I just want to make sure Susan got the motion. The acronym, that B and F, Budget and Finance. It's at, okay. Great. Is there a second? Oh.
I should also just add for the Budget and Finance Committee itself, we did meet very recently and approve this as our final draft, and the vote from our subcommittee is unanimous in support of approving this as our FY26 budget development calendar.
Thank you so much, Member Martini. So you made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Member Childs. Discussion? Mayor?
I just wanted to thank Member Martini. She was dogged in her pursuit of the information, making sure every date she was coming to me, asking to meet with the mayor, asking to walk with the mayor to make sure she got all the dates down. So she put a lot of effort into that. I just hope you can hear that, Kate. Thank you. You did a great job.
Member Sexton?
Yeah, I just wanted to second that and say that this is a beautiful tool that our newly created Community Engagement Committee can utilize to help ensure that everyone knows when and where and who to bother about their budget concerns.
Other comments or questions? Well, I'll just say, Kate, I'm not sure that you were here, but we actually had a public comment from someone who was saying, you know, in the past, the school committee hasn't been engaged until it was kind of too late, and how are you going to address that? And there's members on the committee who don't have answers to basic questions about the budget, and I knew that this was coming, but I'm really pleased, and thanks to everybody on the budget subcommittee for your hard work on this, and you in particular for spearheading the effort, Kate. It's really wonderful. I'm so excited about it. Member Sexton.
Sorry, I did actually I could probably find it myself up here, but noting that on page 2 under November, the dates are not there. So if there are dates,
Are
they
there
can be written in.
times when there are dates on the committee that aren't there on purpose, Kate?
Yes. So you're probably noticing that in the late spring, I didn't mention our regular school committee meetings. And the reason for that is because we don't usually discuss very much with regards to the budget in those particular months. And the reason why is because immediately before that, we have approved the school department's budget request. And then it's up to the mayor and the city council then to take that forward for the next few months until we do, in fact, have a city budget in place. So the school committee itself discusses the budget in all of the months prior to that. We do a lot of work that leads up to it, and then we have to sort of let it take its wings and fly with the city and wait for the mayor and the city council to get through their parts of it. So you'll see that, for example, the school committee's discussions about capital improvement need to take place in the fall, because then the capital improvement committee needs to do what they do, and then the mayor needs time to come up with her capital improvement program, which then goes to city council and what have you. So we, as the school committee, discuss those things up front, and then after that, we are there's not much for us to do same thing with the operating budget. Once we finish our deliberations and approval of that, which usually takes place at either around the very end of February or the beginning of March, then there's not much for us to do until after the mayor and city council, including Ways and Means and what have you, get through all of their business, which would not be until about the end of May. So we probably wouldn't take up another budget topic other than our monthly updates until June. So that's why.
And then just looking at the format, there are some, for example, in November, you have 3 items there, but there isn't a particular date. That's intentional, right? There are times when you won't know the dates, or it's not something that's tied to a particular date.
Yeah, that's right. Certain things within the budget process take place over a period of time rather than on a particular day. So, like, for example, when the superintendent is looking for her department heads to create their individual budget requests, that's something that doesn't take place on one particular day. It takes time for those department heads to put together their requests. And so that's not, that would go without a date on the calendar because it takes place across multiple dates. But I put those in the month or the part of the year in which that thing would take place. I hope that makes sense.
Yep, it makes sense to me. Other questions or comments about the calendar? Right. Anything else from you, Member Martini, before we vote?
No.
All right. We'll start with you, Member Martini.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor DeSorger?
Yes.
Yes, passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Big achievement. Really appreciate it.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. This is definitely a little labor of love, but I also just want to make sure folks remember this is a, changeable, amendable document. If something comes up or you see a need to make a change, we can always, go back to the drawing board with it and amend it if we need to. But I'm so glad to have this framework in place. So now we can get going on what comes next, which brings me to the other piece of my report. So the next piece, as you'll see in the calendar there, is for Budget and Finance to meet to discuss the implementation of our school committee policy, DBD, which is all written out for you there on page 3. Basically, the school committee's policy is that the needs of our students always come first when it comes to the development of the budget, and the school committee is very interested in having input from our community. So there are already a number of ways in which members of the community can have input into the budget development process. People can come to our meetings and make public comments. They can write email to individual committee members or all of the committee through our website. And we have had, we have individual members such as myself who have regular office hours that people are welcome to come and speak to us at directly. So I could go on. But so we have a number of ways in which we already do this. However, I'm really inspired by Superintendent Patnod's level of engagement with the public over the last couple of months since she took on her new position. And that's something that I myself would like to carry on and integrate into our work as a committee so that we're also doing our part, especially when it comes to the development of the budget. And now I know that I care about this maybe more because I happen to be chairing that subcommittee, but I would like to have a discussion about whether the committee would like to and how and when do more to implement this policy. So I plan we will be having a subsequent meeting. Our next meeting of this subcommittee will take place in a couple of weeks, and that will be one of the topics that we will discuss. So I wanted to ask the members of the committee right now if they have ideas that they would like Budget and Finance to discuss in terms of doing anything new or additional in terms of public engagement on the budget development process. So I would open that question for discussion.
Great. Responses? Feedback?
I mean, we just created another committee to engage the public, and so I think that there's opportunities for joint committee operations, if you will, so that we could work together to think of some things.
Great. Great thought. Others?
Was that member Sexton talking? Because it was very hard for me to hear.
Oh, yes. Member Sexton was saying that with the creation of the new community engagement subcommittee, there might be opportunities for collaboration about community engagement about the budget.
Exactly what I was thinking, yes. I also wanted to just add for members, I know you might have ideas later that you're not able to think of on the spot right now, and that's okay. And I welcome individual input from members if they have suggestions that they would like to make. I just want to remind members that if you're communicating something like this, it needs to be one-on-one directly to me, because no one should be deliberating on anything or doing anything that could be seen as deliberation on a school committee topic or anything under the school committee purview in between open meetings. So I welcome individual communications so that I can evaluate those suggestions properly with the subcommittee and then bring it back to everyone.
Thank you. All right. Anything else on your report?
No, that's it. I'm excited.
Okay, great. Policy and Program Subcommittee, that's me as chair, and we did not meet. We had a meeting and got canceled. One person wasn't able to be there. There was an item where it seemed useful to have the full committee available. So we will convene again next month. There was also not an executive subcommittee meeting since the last meeting. I don't think there was redistricting and reorganizing. School committee handbook ad hoc committee. The chair isn't here to report on that. Is there a member who would be willing to report? Member Sexton?
We have not met since the last update that was given, but I would like to remind folks to, when you get a chance, review the draft that we sent to folks. Again, not with an editorial eye. This is not your chance to play New York Times editor, but it is your opportunity to provide broad brushstrokes feedback about big areas that are either missing that you'd like to see, or ways that we presented something that you would like maybe presented differently. And I know we have another meeting on the calendar. If you give me 30 seconds, I can tell you when it is. It is the 23rd of September at 6 p.m. And I'm not sure if we have a location set for that yet, but we usually try to meet in person.
Okay, great. I guess I would just encourage you all to consider just cleaning up the version that was presented to us last time and bringing it for a vote. I think it's ready for, with the, there's places where it's saying we need this information or whatever, but I think it's really ready for the full committee to discuss and vote on, and then could be something that could get added to, but even what you have there would be such an improvement over not having anything at all, and I really appreciate the work everybody's been doing on it. Any other questions or thoughts for handbook committee? Okay. Our collaborative for educational services rep, Member Goodwin.
Very excited that the collaborative is celebrating their 50th year as a collaborative on September 18th. They're having a big shindig in Worcester. If you're interested in participating in the shindig, let me know, and I will send you the link.
Thank you. City planning and construction rep.
We have not met.
Okay. Legislative rep is Member Deneve. She's also our Division 5 rep. District Wellness Committee.
Our first meeting will be on October 7th, and I believe it will be virtual.
Great. That is committee reports. Next, we have our new business. I would say, given the hour, if anyone would like to move to table any of these items, if they don't, if they don't want to discuss them tonight, I'm very open to those types of motions. But our next item is the music program, which I believe Member Goodwin asked to be put on through the agenda.
I believe Superintendent Patnode brought us celebration on the music program tonight.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Item handled. Petition on changing the school funding formula. Let's see. In your packets, I believe, is a petition that I think the intent actually was to have a resolution ready for us, which would be different from just the petition. Jesus is here representing that and has said that other districts will be voting on resolutions next month. So it is an item that could be tabled. Alternatively, I could accept a motion to approve to sign on as a school committee to the petition as presented. So it's we could go either way. We could do a resolution next month, or we could have a motion to sign on to the petition as presented and discuss it now. Any preferences, anyone? All right, I guess what I'm going to say, given the hour, why don't we do this in October, if that's okay? It sounds like it was okay. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read you. Okay. Great. We will table that. Oh, why don't I take a motion to take up a resolution on changing the school funding formula in October. So just a motion basically to take this up next month. Is there someone who'd make that motion?
Motion.
All right. Okay, got a motion from Member Sexton and a second from Member Martini. Any discussion? Member Martini, vote.
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, motion carries unanimously. We will discuss that at our October meeting. LPAC and CPAC updates. Superintendent. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Oh, I didn't realize we were actually getting an update. That's great. I thought that I was making a motion because
oh,
the intent of why I brought it up was so that we would actually have representatives from those bodies come and give us updates. That was the intent that I brought that forward from. But I would be happy to hear the updates that you have for us tonight.
I'll just say I asked the superintendent to gather some information about us so she can share the information she's gathered, and then the committee can decide what our next steps are. Thank you, Superintendent.
Sure. The Director of People Services, Dave Messing, oversees both of those. And the CPAC is set to meet next Wednesday, September 18th at 6 o'clock. They meet in the Greenfield Middle School Library. They also offer childcare for any members that want to come. They are working on getting officers elected and approving their bylaws that they started last year, because we finally have some parents on the advisory committee that joined us last year and are continuing the hard work. So they're moving and shaking. The bylaws, I looked into this because I wasn't quite 100% certain, but the bylaws actually dictate how they report to the school committee. So once their bylaws are approved, we'll see what's in the bylaws. And then if they don't actually have that in their bylaws, Mr. Messing said he's happy to send reports either that I can share with you or he can come to a meeting. Our LPAC has been a little slower getting off the ground, but that meeting is on Thursday, September 26th, 6 o'clock, Greenfield Middle School Library. These things will all be in my parent updates and reminding folks where and when, and that we do offer childcare, so folks who want to come and don't have that, they can bring their children. But they are just starting out. They did not have any solid representation last year, so they're really looking for people to join that, and that's the English Language Parent Advisory Committee. So if you know anyone that wants to join, please contact Dave Messing, and we will get you where you need to be for those groups. So I'll keep you posted as they meet and as the bylaws get adopted.
Any discussion or? Okay. All right. Then I don't think there's any other action for us right now, if that's all right. Not this time. Okay. Item D, we have the school resource officer in schools. The mayor asked me to put this onto the agenda, and we heard during public comment the chief imploring us to please reinstate the school resource officer in the schools. I think what I would like to do on this is basically have a vote about whether the school committee wants to deliberate and vote on having us, basically whether we want to take this up, because we did not too long ago make a choice as a school committee about which direction we were going in with school resource officers, which was not to have one. So I do feel like it would require our committee choosing together about whether we want to initiate. I guess the way I would put it is I would hear a motion that the school committee initiate a comprehensive study and deliberation process to evaluate the potential addition of a school resource officer to our school district. So is there a motion to that effect? A motion from the mayor, and is there a second? Second from Member Goodwin. Okay. Discussion?
I just wanted to say one thing without, and I don't want to say too much, but this actually came up after we had a meeting. We had a department head meeting, and the FBI was not at the school, but was at the home of a student, and there was a threat to the school, is my understanding. No? So if you can correct me if I'm wrong. I actually, it was concerning to me enough to bring it up, and I didn't go into all of the details, but I don't know all of the details, but I know that they were in touch with you, and so maybe you'd like to enlighten us a little bit.
Yeah, we don't
Okay,
talk
all right.
about like security
fine.
issues in a public forum. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there other discussions? Member Goodwin?
So,
Oh, sorry. Mayor.
okay, so I would just say this. When I heard that, I had a concern about safety, so I asked that it would be on the agenda for a discussion, and I wanted you to know where that came from, that there was something behind that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Member Goodwin?
I think the world is a very scary place. And unfortunately, things are happening everywhere. And that everybody likes to think not where they live. And I'm sorry, we need as much help as we can get to keep our schools safe. And we've had a good relationship for a long time with our local police. They would show up at our schools when there was a problem. And some of our schools are more isolated from downtown than others. Location matters. So I would say to you, SROs are a necessity for today's world. Our doors are not always, people can just walk indoors. Our new security system hopefully will help with that, but there is always somebody who's going to leave a door open in our schools. I think it's something that's necessary. And every time there's a shooting, you sit there and you go, you just hold your breath. And I do not want us to be sitting here in tears because children or teachers died because we didn't have people in our schools to help. And there was a school committee meeting, I can still remember years ago, where they talked about arming our custodians. And I can remember that school committee as clear as day and sitting there going, you got to be kidding. But people react every time there's a shooting, and every time something happens, and then it fades away. And today of all days, it is 9/11, and I have not forgotten that day. I would say to you that the more security you have, the better off you are.
Before I hear other comments, I just want to emphasize again to the committee, the reason why we have an executive session item that we actually happen to have met for this reason today, to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto. So we do get to have an open discussion about whether to have a school resource officer, but we need to be extremely sensitive about what information we're disclosing or not disclosing in that discussion. So please be thoughtful. Thank you. Member Childs.
Can you speak a little more about what the comprehensive study would entail and what the time frame on that would be? Because the movement was about that.
I think if the committee took it up, then we would have that discussion and determine that. I don't have that. I mean, with this item was submitted a few days ago, so I certainly don't have a draft plan, and plus the committee hasn't decided to take it up. So, Member Sexton?
You mentioned in opening this discussion that it was quite recently, actually, that the committee took up this question and decided to no longer have SROs in our schools. And I would like to think that they went through a deliberative process and addressed many of the same concerns and questions that we would be facing with this comprehensive review. I would not be in favor of reopening that if we can go back and look to their deliberations and see how they chose to respond and the measures that they put in place to address the concerns about safety. It is my understanding that even without SROs, we do still have police officers who respond to incidents at our schools. Is this true? They're still there?
Yes, we can connect with dispatch, or anytime we need something, dispatch will send someone if asked for. Absolutely.
I'll just say my computer went to sleep, so Member Martini, if you're wanting to speak, please just unmute and say something so I know you want to talk, because I don't have my password handy and all that.
Okay, no problem. Here I am. So I understand if newer members want to discuss this topic. I, however, was on the committee when we did discuss this issue quite extensively not that long ago, and I remember so clearly the are the ones from our students. Um, and they are the most important when it comes to any decision we make. And I will not forget from our discussions on that the opposition expressed by many of our students and the poignant description of why certain students would not feel safe having police in our schools. And I worry just as much as anyone else about our security, which is why I appreciate the regular communication that the committee has received from the school administration in our executive sessions, owing to the need to keep our security procedures and capabilities within our own knowledge in order to uphold the integrity of those things. And then in terms, I understand why this issue comes up when a tragedy occurs, and I spend a lot of time reading as much as I can about each one. So it's not lost on me that having an SRO did not prevent a tragedy in Parkland, having two officers responding right away did not prevent people from losing their lives in the most recent one, and school having its own entire police department did not prevent one of the worst tragedies in our nation's history in Uvalde. So I myself am not interested in revisiting this topic. I think it would be a better use of our time to focus on other things. But if other members, as a majority of the committee, want to go through a process of studying this again, then I'm here for it.
Thank you. Other comments? I'll speak to this. I also am not in favor of the school committee taking this up. I also was on the committee when we discussed it. It did come up in the wake of George Floyd's killing and the rise in consciousness and voice about the role of the police in our community, about how at the time, I don't think the school resource officer has been brought to us before with the idea that having a single school resource officer at a school would increase the safety of our students in terms of protection from mass shooting events, for example. It was always presented to us as something that was needed in order to build a good relationship between the students and the police department, and as something that would contribute to that. The challenge for students of color, in particular, Black and Hispanic students, is that the role of the police in these communities has not always been what it should be in terms of protecting people, and so it can be triggering and inhibiting of learning to have a police presence in the schools on an ongoing basis. Certainly we do have events and invitations to the police to come and bring comfort dogs and so on. That does occur, but I agree that with Member Martini that the idea of having a single school resource officer in the school is really not going to contribute to the safety of our children, unfortunately, from those mass shooting events. And yeah, the exact same examples. Member Martini, I think, chose the perfect examples of where that has not been effective. So I am really not interested in re-deliberating about this, and I will vote against the committee taking it up on an ongoing basis. Any other discussion or questions? All right, let's have a vote. Member Martini?
No.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
No.
I am a no. Mayor DeSorger?
Yes.
Okay, we are tied 50-50. Robert's Rules of Order kind of calls for us to keep deliberating and keep discussing. Another option would be for us to lay this on the table until our October meeting, when there will hopefully be an odd number of us present for the vote. I'd just accept informal feedback from people if you have a preference one way or the other. If you think that your vote could be changed by more discussion, I would be open to talking about it more tonight.
I move to table.
Move to table by the mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Member Sexton. Discussion? Oh, no, it's not a no discussion item. Yep, thank you. Okay, so we will vote. Member Martini? Motion to table. Okay, that's a yes. Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Childs?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. We will consider the motion to study and deliberate on this topic at our October meeting. And with that, are there any requests for future agenda items? Hearing none, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from the mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Member Sexton. Any discussion? Let's vote. Member Martini?
Yes.
Member Goodwin?
Yes.
Member Child?
Yes.
Member Sexton?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned at 9:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.